This is the City of Inver Grove Heights Engineering Division. I'm Jake Moser. I'm a staff civil engineer for the city. The presentation was prepared by Luke Morn of Kimley Horn & Associates. They are providing the project engineering services for this project. This project is part of the 2021 Pavement Management Program. It is city project number 2020-09D, Delaney Circle and Delaney Court improvements. Tonight's meeting is just an information meeting. It's the virtual improvement hearing informational meeting to prepare residents, give you information prior to the January 25th City Council meeting, where we'll be asking council to authorize final design for this project and by ordering the plans and specifications. So a brief project overview here. This project was started by a petition from the neighborhood for street improvements received by City Council in June of 2020. It includes the partial reconstruction of Delaney Circle and Delaney Court, shown in red. It's about a 1 mile of roadway of improvement. There will be some roadway and culvert replacements and some minor ditch grading improvements as well. This slide is summarizing our first open house meeting we held on November 19th. We had great participation from the neighborhood. There was 13 participants. We generally received continued support for the street project, and we also got some great resident questions and feedback. Some of that we'll share with you right here. One of the questions was, why was Delaney Court resurfaced a few years ago and is now being reconstructed? That was considered a broad area patch that was completed in 2017. It was done as temporary maintenance. There's a thin asphalt layer just intended to buy a few years until a more thorough project could be presented. So that was before we received the petition for the reconstruction project. There was multiple questions regarding construction details, access to the neighborhood, the duration of anticipated construction, how it would impact driveways. We'll be presenting more thorough details at the third and final open house informational meeting later in spring of 2021. We'll have more details available at that time, but there are some abbreviated answers to the questions that were received in the appendix of the feasibility report, which is available at the city website, ighmn.gov. I think it's /Delaney, or you can go to the city website, type Delaney into the search bar. That'll bring you to the page. You've probably all been there since you signed up for this meeting anyways. Residents had also asked about the city's plans for ongoing roadway maintenance after the project. So Delaney Circle and Delaney Court will both be maintained per the city's pavement management program after construction, which includes scheduled crack sealing and seal coating. Those are non-assessed maintenance projects that are done every few years, crack sealing and seal coating to extend the life of the street. The proposed improvements for the streets are both Delaney Circle and Delaney Court will get new bituminous pavement on top of reclaimed or new aggregate base with new shouldering. I guess I'll explain briefly. Delaney Circle, we're going to do a full depth reclamation where the asphalt pavement surface, that's the bituminous pavement, is pulverized, mixed in with the gravel base. That material becomes the new road base, and we pave 4 inches of new bituminous pavement on top of that. Where Delaney Court, when we did our geotechnical soils investigation in preparation for the project, the results of that soil boring suggested that existing gravel base was a poor quality material, did not meet current specs. So the plan is to remove the existing gravel base, replace it with new material with 4 inches of new bituminous pavement on the surface. Both streets, we anticipate some minor ditch foreslope grading and seeding within the disturbance area, generally pretty close to the shoulder areas of the road. We're anticipating a potential roadway profile increase on Delaney Circle. Due to the full depth reclamation, you're leaving the in-place material there and paving on top of it. We will be raising the road profile. The crown of the road today is pretty flat, so we bring that up to at least 2% crown. So we won't see a full 4 inches, but we're anticipating a 2.5 to 3 inch profile raise. One note, we will be further investigating during final design the possibility of using some of the excess material from Delaney Circle as new base material on Delaney Court. We're going to have to look into that more carefully during final design to see if that is constructible and makes sense for this project, but that is an option we'll be looking at. We're preliminary planning for all driveway aprons to be replaced. That'll be the first 5 to 10 feet of driveways adjacent to the road. That's generally to accommodate the expected road profile increase and to allow for replacement of some culverts that are being recommended for replacement. There are no city utilities being proposed with this project. All properties will stay on well and septic as they are today. As part of the feasibility report, we did a stormwater analysis, which reviewed the regional and localized stormwater conveyance through the project area. We also evaluated all the driveway and roadway culverts and recommended replacement based on condition and capacity review. And the next slide, I'll show the locations of the driveway and roadway culverts we're planning for replacement. Where not replaced, driveway and roadway culverts will be cleaned with this proposed project. The detail on the right here, that's just our engineering detail showing the standard new driveway culvert. So the ones that will need to be replaced will be getting at least a 15-inch steel culvert extending beyond the driveway with safe slopes graded around it. There's some minor ditch grading improvements to improve the roadside stormwater conveyance, and a swale to be graded on the property line, south line of 8325 Delaney Circle, which receives public stormwater from a roadway culvert, and we need to define that drainage swale down that property line. This is the preliminary stormwater improvements map. Again, this is preliminary. The final design will be determined after council authorizes the project. We'll look more carefully at all of the proposed replacements and work through that with final design. But the red dots do show the preliminary driveway culverts planned for replacement and budgeted for. Again, this is based on existing condition and need to maintain stormwater conveyance. The green lines show the roadway culverts that are being planned for replacement, and the purple line shows the ditch and swale grading areas. Just to note, the swale on the lot line of 8325 is not proposed to include the ravine stabilization. There is a stormwater ravine that runs through that property. The feasibility report identified that as needed to be a separate city project, so we're working with the property owner on that. We're still looking at funding sources for that, but that will not be included as part of this project or the assessments. So the preliminary project costs, funding, and city assessment policy. I'm going to start on the left here. The project costs include roadway improvements at a cost of $856,225. The stormwater improvements, generally just being the ditch, grading, and culverts, is $87,910 for a total project cost of $944,135. That does include construction contingencies, administrative and engineering and financing costs as well. The project funding will come from a combination of pavement management program funds and special assessments to property owners. The city assessment policy for a single family neighborhood is all single family lots of similar class and type are assessed the same rate regardless of frontage. That way, odd-shaped lots or corner lots, it doesn't come into to be a factor. All properties, all single-family lots in the same neighborhood will pay the same assessment amount. Again, both Delaney Circle and Delaney Court are considered partial reconstruction projects, and city policy is to assess for 55% of the street and roadway and sewer or stormwater project costs to benefiting property owners. So the parcels proposed to be assessed include all 36 lots within the Delaney Circle and Delaney Court neighborhood. The preliminary city policy assessment amount based on 55% of the project costs is $14,424. However, the preliminary special benefit assessment cap amount, which is provided by an independent appraiser and recommends the maximum benefit to each parcel that could be received based on the proposed improvements, that is set at $9,600. So that the proposed assessment amount is based on the lower between the cap and the policy amount. In this case, the maximum assessment would be $9,600. So that is what is being proposed. Special assessments have a recommended 10-year term with interest rate. Both the term and interest rate are going to be set by council in the future at the assessment hearing. Property owners do have the option to pay the full assessment amount to the city up front. I believe after 30 days, the window to pay to the city ends, and then it will be certified to the county and incorporated with property taxes spread evenly over the term set by council at the interest rate set by council. So the project schedule is tonight is the improvement hearing informational meeting. The next step is holding the improvement hearing and asking council to order plans and specifications, and that's scheduled for the January 25th city council meeting. There is I believe the mailing, I know the mailing that was mailed to residents includes instructions for participating in that council meeting and the hearing, either in person or through a virtual option. Following that, during the month of February, we expect to be working on final design and final plans and specifications. Then March 22nd, we'd be going back to council requesting approval of the plans and specifications and approval to authorize bidding. We'd have about a month where bids are open to contractors for bidding. We'd expect to open bids in late April. Following the bid opening, we'll have the third neighborhood information meeting. At that time, we'll have the low bid from the low bid contractor in hand. So the project costs will be based on estimated quantities, but actual contractor costs for unit prices. So that may affect the total project cost amount. After that, the assessment hearing and asking council to award the project is scheduled for June 28th, with construction beginning potentially in July of 2021. So that's the brief presentation here. We're going to open it up to questions. I believe I'm going to ask Luke Morin to help out. I believe they've been organizing the questions that have been asked so far, so I'll let Luke lead the question and answer session, and I'll jump back in as needed.
Yep, good evening, everybody. My name is Luke Morin, as Jake said. I, to date, have not seen any questions come in, so certainly if folks do have questions on any of the information that Jake shared, questions about the public hearing that'll be coming up on January 25th, or I guess anything else about the project, there are instructions that Jake has up on the screen. Go ahead and type those in, and we will stick around here and run through those with people. And admittedly, I know Jake and I talked about this. You know, a lot of the information in the presentation is information that was shared at the original open house. So certainly, if you're someone who attended that original meeting, not a lot has changed, but we have, you know, we've presented that feasibility report and had finalized some of the things with the stormwater analysis, and wanted to make sure we had one more chance to give everybody in the neighborhood an opportunity to ask Jake and I questions about the project if you had them before council makes a decision on the 25th whether or not to proceed with the project.
Well, we're gonna hang out here for probably another 15 minutes at least. Certainly for a few minutes to allow people, in case you're typing your questions now, please continue. But we'll hang here. Again, we'll post the PDF of this presentation of the PowerPoint to the city webpage, hopefully within 2 days. So if you missed something in the beginning and wanted to double check something, that should be available, again, hopefully within 2 days. We'll post the recording of this presentation also, hopefully within a week. Hold the culvert.
All right, so we just got a question. Will the culvert between 8329 and 8325 be additional assessment? So the culvert replacements, so all of them, so that includes the driveway culverts that were identified and the roadway culverts, the few that are proposed to be replaced, are included in the total project cost, which is the basis for how the assessments are calculated. So I'm not sure what the meaning of it, whether it's an additional assessment or not, but the cost to replace all of the culverts that have been identified or within the project that were shown on that map are all a part of the total project cost, which is then how that city assessment amount was calculated. Next question, why are we changing the flow of stormwater onto new parcels? This is a major change and not an issue when purchasing our house. We are not in agreement with this change. We would like this design reconsidered. So we are not with the project changing the direction or flow of any of the stormwater moving through this neighborhood. The culvert replacements that are being proposed are due to a condition review or a capacity deficiency that we identified with the stormwater analysis. None of the replacements of the culverts are to modify or change the location of where stormwater is going today. The improvements along the 8325 property line, those were identified out of a meeting that we had specifically with that property owner. And the property line swale that we are proposing to incorporate into the project is simply to provide a mechanism for the city to control the water getting to the ravine like it's supposed to, whereas today it is not doing so, and it is sheet flowing across that property. So as a general statement, we are not changing the flow of stormwater throughout any of this neighborhood area with this project. So next question is, so is my understanding correct that whatever the bid for the project becomes, my responsibility would be capped at $9,600? That is correct. That is the cap on the special benefit that the special benefit analysis identified, completed by the appraiser. So you would not pay anything more than $9,600. And once assuming the project gets ordered at the hearing, when we go through design and solicit bids, there'll be more information on assessments, how that options for how that gets paid back, kind of what happens after the bidding, and how those assessments process through once we get to that point. But certainly if there are specific assessment questions, we can answer them tonight. But just know there will be a separate meeting after the bids are open to go through assessments specifically and construction.
Thank you, Luke. I should just mention also that I believe Luke's contact information as well as mine was on the letter invitation that was sent. And feel free, you can shoot me an email or call at any time with any other questions you have. I'm more than happy to engage and do my best to answer questions at any time. So if you think of something later, feel free to reach out. We're looking for feedback. We want to work closely with all the residents who are invested in this project in the neighborhood.
looks like we got some follow-up on what I assume is the comment regarding the stormwater flow change to new parcels. That question, I'm not going to read it. It's a longer one. It is posted on the published piece, so it looks like we will have to take a look at some of the information then that we have shown potentially to confirm the locations that we're showing culverts and the direction of flow is consistent with existing conditions. So certainly, again, I guess I will reiterate there is no intent to change any flow patterns. I guess thank you for, if there is a discrepancy in what we have shown in the documentation, thanks for making us aware of that. And we will correct that during final design, but we are not, none of the work out here is to change or modify any of the stormwater flow patterns that exist today. So we will take note of what you brought up, and we'll take a look and make sure we have that cleaned up when we move into the next phase of the project.
Yeah, I'm thinking one of those culvert ends. Sounds like the one we're talking about is right here at the intersection of Delaney Circle and Delaney Circle. I wanted to say the end on 8306 is buried, or at least that's what we thought. So we'll have to look closer at that. It sounds like some information is being provided that may not be the case, but we'll look closer at that. So thank you.
So next question, do the contractors usually have total driveway replacement options if the entire driveway is in need of replacement? I don't know, Jake, do you want to run through the city's driveway program?
Sure. So in general, that with whoever the contractor is that the city selects based on low bid, there is not an option for full driveway replacements to be rolled in with the contract. We need to keep those separate, but there is a driveway replacement program that we'll present more information at the next meeting. But if you're interested in replacing your driveway, if you've got an old driveway, feel free to reach out to me. Frankly, the sooner the better, just so we kind of can gauge the interest. But sorry, I'll cut to the chase. The program essentially requires you, if you're interested in replacing your full driveway, you would enter an agreement with the city that would say your driveway apron is not going to be replaced with the project. But then you would be credited the value of that driveway apron, and it's not necessarily going to be the value of your driveway apron specifically. So it's going to be the average value of all the driveway aprons in the neighborhood. That amount, maybe several $100s, that could be credited to your assessment, but then that agreement you sign with the city requires you to go hire your own contractor and have that driveway replaced within a certain date. So you'd have the option to reach out to the contractor who's selected for the city project and ask them if they'd be interested in quoting or bidding on your driveway project, or you could reach out to whoever, whatever local or other paving outfit you want to contract with, but then it would be your responsibility to follow through with that contract. It would be separate from the city contract. Hopefully I explained that okay. But we'd calculate the amount of those driveway credits based on bid prices. So we won't know, the value of that potential credit. But if you are interested, certainly reach out, because that'd be helpful to know if there are people interested. We can do some of the background work ahead of time.
And I specifically, I guess, to add to that, just based on the last recent years doing street reconstruction projects in the city, we have not seen a lot of interest from the contractor doing the actual roadway reconstruction project We haven't had a lot of interest from them doing full driveway replacements for residents. So that's completely up to the contractor working and if they want to take on that extra work or not, but the city has no, the city won't be directing people to do driveways, and that's completely up to a separate agreement between you and a contractor.
Thanks, Luke. Well, it looks like there is 5 residents still in attendance. We'll hang here. Well, we can stay here as long as you like if the questions keep coming. Otherwise, we'll just kind of watch. I guess if people start leaving, we'll end early, but we'll stay here till at least 6:45 in case more questions keep coming in. No rush. I might bump it up to 6:40 unless we get some more questions coming in. Looks like people are starting to leave, but we'll be here for 5 more minutes in case there's other questions.
So I do see we did get another comment from Bob Murphy. I guess Bob, I'm not entirely sure what I assume it was something about your 2 slopes. I don't know if you can maybe send another comment in that I'm just not sure what the comment you're asking or to what the question is on what was published.
2 concrete slabs Bob's asking about. Assuming you're talking about a driveway, Mr. Murphy, generally if it is in the driveway apron area, the first 5 to 10 feet adjacent to the roadway, the preliminary plan is for driveway apron replacement. Again, that's to be determined with final design, but so if the apron does need to be replaced to match the road profile, or if it's located at one of the areas identified as in need of a culvert replacement, it would be included, but we will not be going further up driveways to do any driveway corrections outside of the right of way. That would not be included with this. Well, again, at the next meeting later in the spring, we will have final plans available. We'll have to figure out how to make those available, for an online format. But the gist is we will have the details, construction details, reviewed and designed at that point. So we'll have a better idea on driveway impacts and impacts around culverts at that future meeting. So can't get into too much detail yet without having done the design. All right. I think we're going to call it for this evening. Thank you very much for participating, everyone. Thanks for hanging around and asking some good questions. Again, we'll publish the PDF of the presentation to the city webpage. And again, feel free to reach out to me. I'm Jake Moser. My email is jmoser@ighmn.gov. My phone number is 651-450-2489. Feel free to give me a call, reach out to me, or Luke's information is on the mailing as well. So can't get a hold of one of us, but we'll get back to you promptly if you leave us a message. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Bye.